history.
Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate. Science fiction on a screen so bright. Old classics and the new delights. The unapologetic geek will lead the way, with facts and fun to fill your day. Discussing every detail, every frame, from the eerie to the loud and the tame. Gig along with all that's great. Those Sunday vibes you can't debate. Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate.
No, Just Carolyn, you are not the only one who gets that tune stuck in their head.
Sorry.
Tug, gotta ask, is Mrs. Tug's name Annie by any chance?
No.
Because that would be awesome. You'd have Tugboat Annie.
Oh.
I've got to stop saying what pops into my head. I really do. I really do.
You could get Danny instead of Annie. And
There you go.
And you just have to nickname you Boat.
Not my boat, U-boat.
U-boat.
So the U-boat commander said to the pole dancer, "That's nothing. You can see what you did with the bird bath."
Oh man,
I forgot the first part of the joke.
Well, we're off to a great start. Welcome to Tug Chat.
Greetings from South Carolina.
And you know where other people are from.
Too.
Yeah.
I forget where I'm from, and I don't know where I'm going. So
right, that's what I was just about to say. Stop doing my lines.
Hello, Tom McCluskey. He's here.
Thomas.
Tracy is here.
Oh, bubble up.
Just Carowin is also here. I saw. Let's see, Indy Spoats. Snarky.
I'm there too.
Yay. No, you're
I should put on that, shouldn't
Yeah. And we missed you Thursday there, Geek. We did. We missed you so much.
Seriously, I was just watching TV. Somebody should have texted me.
I thought about it. I thought about like before the show, during the show, and then I was gonna go afterwards to do, the thank you, everybody. I see your notification. Listen, I just forgot. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I seriously did. Like, I popped in at like 2 hours later, and it was just like Snarky and Danny talking backstage. I'm like, crap, I missed it.
And again, Sister Sarah, I'm sorry, I get no excuse. I just, for some reason, Thursdays get away from me. I'm sorry.
Well, okay.
I did get the invite, though. Very flattered.
Well, yeah, because last time you said you didn't, and I was like, okay, I'll let you know that I emailed you.
It was so funny. I had to apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry, I missed it. I forgot. Anyway, you want to be on my show?
Yeah, so yeah, but I was here early because I woke up, and then he reminded me there was daylight savings afterwards, and I'm like, I actually got here on time.
Yeah. Apparently, Tracy left the show sneezing. I hope you stopped.
This show is not to be sneezed at.
Oh, there's comedy in there somewhere.
Let's see. Freeside, hi, howdy.
And also hi to the Cowman Show. I can say it right. Anyways, and then Music and Friends out there.
Cowman.
Awesome.
Yes.
You should definitely check out Music and Fun because he and I, or whatever, been working on funny things together. It's been good. Yeah.
So today we're going to finish up our talk on actors and actresses. Sorry, my hat's just being weird.
It happens.
And I am very spaced out because of daylight saving time. I literally just woke up right before the show, and I barely know where I am. So this will be great.
Wait a minute. Did time change last night?
Yeah.
Whoa, that explains a lot, man. Because it's been this thing going on all day with time and running late and overslept. I don't know how. And you just explained everything, dude. You solved my mystery of the day. Dude.
I used to work an overnight shift
One of them goddamn old Mandela.
for years, and without fail, without every single solid time change, they would waltz in. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
And yes, Nate, we do sometimes do the same topic over the course of multiple weeks because we come prepared with these lists and we never get more than like two slots down on the list. So like we always want to do more. But yeah, this is going to be the end of this one because the next 2 weeks I actually have two completely separate subjects lined up. So and also I want to point out that last week I kept calling you Nathaniel because I didn't realize who you were. I didn't realize I actually know you. So this is Nate. He has a podcast, a time travel podcast called Oh Boy, Time Travel Podcast. I highly recommend it.
I know that guy.
Yep. I may or may not be a guest on his show very soon.
Dude, I actually time travel.
I know. You and
in the
Curse.
past, so.
Missing time doesn't count, Danny.
When I time travel, it involves something called the Xanax effect.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Mine is something called.
Never mind. See, I told you I'm spaced out, man.
Every time I see Nathaniel, too, all I can think of is Space, Time, and Nathaniel by Brian Wilson Aldous. Are you familiar, Nate? If not, you will be now.
You're right, Nate. I totally missed the joke because, again, I'm not awake. Yes, something on the same subject twice. I get it now.
I was on that show last night with Brainbenders, Banners, and Doug.
Yep.
Really, really late, and I was late going to bed, and I really, really overslept.
Wow.
And then I felt like something was wrong with the time all day.
It is.
Yeah.
The microwave's all messed up, and it had me thrown off. It was earlier than it was, and then I looked at the phone, and it was later than it was, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was totally unaware of this time change thing. I'll be glad when the president gets rid of that crap.
It was they voted to remove the time change, and everyone went, "Yay!"
Yay! Because it messes with.
They couldn't decide which one.
So it died.
It became a partisan issue whether or not to be forward or backward.
And it died on the floor because they couldn't decide which time they wanted to leave it at.
Our illustrious leaders can't make a decision about anything.
Everybody here agree that it would be so much better that it stays daylight longer.
Yes, they should leave now.
I don't care what time the sun comes up. I'm going to be asleep anyway.
We're going to learn how to control the weather before we can actually figure out how to pass a law saying we don't need.
Listen.
They already control the weather, Tug. Who are you kidding?
There you go.
It's not that kind of show.
It is now. No, I'm kidding. I am so kidding.
I spent my whole life.
Does anyone remember? This is a true story. Does anybody remember? This is years ago. I was on one of Dave's chats, and he was doing trivia, and the answer was the Civil War. And little scamp that I am, I referred to it as the War of Northern Aggression. And it was like, boom! I started a debate. I'm like, oh dear. It was a little teeny tiny joke. I wasn't being serious.
Up until yesterday, I thought that whole time change thing was something to do with farmers and getting their crops in and giving them more time to farm. And
Next I always trying to save energy.
And I always believed that till I was watching a documentary yesterday and found out it was something to do with energy saving during the war that started it. I couldn't believe it. It's like, no, that's wrong. And then I had to look it up and find out, Mandela effect.
Well, I always wondered about the farmer angle because why do the farmers care? They're just going to get up at sunrise regardless of what time on the clock that is.
Yeah, the clock doesn't matter to the rooster that's going to wake them up. Yeah.
Oh, you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, a lot of people, including me, thought it was about the farmers for a long time. But nope, that's an explanation that people came up with ad hoc. It's not what really caused it. And the messed up thing is they did studies and proved that the whole energy savings thing doesn't work. It doesn't actually save energy at all. There's no reason to have daylight saving time at all. Period. There's no reason.
I hate it when things like that come up that prove stuff my grandfather told me wrong. Because I like to think
I hate
my
that,
father
yeah.
couldn't be wrong about nothing. And how could he be wrong about that? And if he was wrong about that, how, is he wrong about the other stuff he told me?
That's
My
happened to me.
granddad was wrong about a whole bunch of stuff. So about a whole bunch of stuff. So
That's happened to
And
me
my
about so
grandmother.
many things. I just assume anything that's common knowledge must be false. I've gone from skeptic to just total cynic.
Yeah, I just try not to be surprised by anything anymore. You find out something's not true, you're like, wow, okay. Find out something is true, you're like, wow,
Figures.
okay.
well, Douglas Adams said it best. He goes,
I remember when we were
Thanks, Tracy.
young. I never will forget my stepdad telling my little brother that Indiana Jones guy was based on his great grandpa. And for weeks, my little brother, this little idiot, was running around telling everybody, Indiana Jones was my great grandpa, and he was real. That's what kind of horrible jokes my stepdad would pull on you.
well, was just I wish I could remember the guy's name. He actually is based on an actual.
He's based on
paleontologist.
somebody. Like you
Like,
showed that
based.
to me like a month or two ago, and it blew my mind. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And you can rest assured there's nobody in my stepfather's family.
Well, that puts that to bed. Well, I think Douglas Adams said it best when he said he told the story about the man who said that everything was untrue, but he was later found to be lying.
Yes.
Hashtag facts.
You can use facts to prove anything.
Yeah, I said because I said so, and they're the truth. There you are. A lot of people do that.
I've come to believe as I get older that the more you know, the less you understand. That the world just gets more and more confusing.
Pull up a chair.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to hell.
If you pointed that out, I don't feel so bad because I thought I was the only one that felt that way.
No, man, no way. So anyway, actors and actresses. I'm going to go ahead and get started because there's one that's been burning me that I haven't mentioned yet, and that is Vincent Price. He is one of my absolute favorites. It's like, why do I love Vincent Price? He's got that great voice. He was a very like humble, personable guy in real life. Like his personality was great. He was a closeted gay man, but that's not whatever. And what?
I said rumors, nothing but rumors.
I'm pretty sure he admitted it later in life.
I refuse to believe that.
Maybe a 60-40, shall we say. It could have been.
Yeah. But he's a very, very talented man. He didn't actually like horror when he started acting. He thought it was silly. But he was really good at it. So he took the roles, because he was a working actor. It wasn't about what he liked and what he didn't like, is what he was good at. And he always put like 110% into all of his roles. He always went just that little extra. And I think that's what made him so memorable and unique as an actor. Yeah, I love Vincent Price. I think he was fantastic, and the world is a little dimmer without him.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, and you were so right. No matter how schlocky the film he was doing he always gave a performance as if he was up for an Oscar. And not a lot of actors are like that. A lot of times you can actually see in their face they're doing it for a paycheck, but never him. He was always, like Burgess Meredith.
Right.
Or,
Always. Point this out, dude.
Hmm?
Right here from Google. There is no definitive public statement from Vincent Price on this subject.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Google has spoken.
But his sellout little daughter has some stuff to say.
See, goes to prove that I don't know anything.
I don't know. Maybe you're right because his sellout little daughter did insinuate that.
Yeah, that's what Carolyn just pointed out.
I believe nothing she said.
Who's also a St. Louis native. I feel the need to point out now that I live near St. Louis.
I mean, there's that great story about how when he was very, very lonely in his later years, Diane Riggs set him up with his last wife, and how they were very, very, very happy together. So it may have been how should I put this correctly? I think it was like a Robert Heinlein situation. If you follow what I'm saying,
I get you.
I knew you would.
That's hard to
Theater of Blood, which is an amazing movie if you guys haven't seen it. A lot of people like to think of it as the third in the Dr. Phibes trilogy, but he wasn't playing Dr. Phibes. But it's a great movie if you haven't seen it.
When I think of Vincent Price, I always go back to my favorite Vincent Price movie, The Last Man on Earth, the classic.
Freaks! You're all freaks!
Hands down, the best adaptation of I Am Legend. I shan't mention what the worst adaptation is.
I really
knock that off the checklist. It's been
mentioned.
Did you ever notice that there's like 3 or 4 subjects which always manage to come up whenever I'm on screen? And while we're on the subject, I wish I'm going to remember as soon as we go off channel name, but just stay with me for the moment. I was watching a movie the other day, and Will Smith was in it, and the line "keep my wife's name out of your mouth" was actually said. I'm like, oh my god, that wasn't even an original line. He was actually quoting one of his own movies. I'm like, and I made a mental note of remembering which one it was, and I don't. So bear with me. But it happened. Take it away for it.
Was it Enemy of the State?
I, honest to God, can't remember. I honest to God. But he said that line in the movie, and I go, oh my God, he's quoting himself like a nutcase. Is he in early onset dementia?
Awesome.
The first thing I remember Vincent Price from, the one that instantly pops into my mind when I think of Vincent Price, is usually The Pit and the Pendulum. Classic, one of his many Poes. And also The Fly, the original. The Fly.
Oh man, The Fly,
so good in that. And he's not even the main character in that. Like, everybody thinks of it as a Vincent Price movie. He's actually kind of a secondary character.
He's really only in 2 segments. I mean, he pops in here and there, but he's really only in
the bookending part. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. He is absolutely. But he steals the movie. And you're right. Anything with him and Karloff paired together,
always great.
I mean,
because
I always gave that very subdued, and Vincent Price chews up the scenery, and the blend of the two of them were absolutely outstanding together.
I had a flashback to my childhood, and I saw Vincent Price and Boris Karloff singing horror songs on the Red Skelton show.
I like Red Skelton.
I don't know if you ever saw that, but it's bizarre.
And yeah, geek
I recommend people Google on YouTube. Go to YouTube and watch it, and you'll be sitting there with your mouth like open going, "What they just say?"
Oh, and it annoys me that I'm not the first person to mention The Tingler. Somebody in the chat mentioned it first. So good job, All Wheels Down.
Well, The Tingler's not a great movie. I mean,
it's a fantastic movie. You bite your tongue, sir.
I mean, he's great in it, but I mean, come on. Fear creates monsters. I mean, come on.
It's a William Castle movie. Of course it's
I love William Castle, but his movies were silly. He did that deliberately.
But Vincent Price in that movie, he's on acid creating monsters out of fear. Come on.
What made The Tingler so great, and I've heard this story from my parents, was when they went to see it, the seats were wired up and they'd give you an electrical zap, and my mom peed herself. And she said, so that thing zapped her, it scared her so bad she peed herself, and it made it the scariest movie she ever saw.
Okay. Good thing it didn't shock her even more from being wet.
Okay,
I think about how that's what made it the scariest movie.
Well, okay, this is a Star Trek topic, but semi-related to that. I went to Star Trek Experience, right? Like when they had it there in Las Vegas, right? So I did the first Enterprise thing, right? That was awesome. But then I also did the Voyager one, right? Where you get abducted when you become a Borg, or almost, right? And, I'm used to like the seats, can move and puffs of air and stuff like that, right? But this seat does say probing on your bum and not fun. Anyway, so I'm there with my dad and we were just like, oh, it's not good. Anyways, but they don't have that right anymore. But there you go. I understand that.
I was so harped when Mrs. Thrash and I were going to Vegas, because I've been telling her about it for years. I can't wait to take you to the Star Trek Experience. I looked it up to see if we needed tickets or something, and it was closed. And I'm like, oh!
I don't know where my picture is because I did it with Deep Space Nine, but my wife is here with the Enterprise crew. Yes.
Oh,
awesome.
Squared.
We went to the Star Trek Experience on our honeymoon, actually. And yeah, we did
I'm
everything.
so jealous.
Me too. I'm not even married or anything, and I can't now because it's gone. But dang, am I jealous? I was there when people were getting married before, and I was like, wow.
I just remember like after
geek.
doing all the shows, the kind of like half rides, half shows that the Star Trek Experience had, we went to the bar and I got like what was called a warp core breach, which is basically just this gigantic drink and they put a bunch of dry ice in it. And we were sitting. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and we're sitting next to these two Scottish guys. Who were there just as tourists, obviously. And we became like immediate friends with these guys. And then next thing we knew, it was like 4 a.m. and we're all trashed. It was one of the best nights of my life.
Awesome.
That's a great story. and yes, oh, what do they call it? Well, whatever the deck was. The bar was a lot of fun. I had affinity for the Klingon Red Ale.
Yeah, they just call it Quark's Bar, I think.
Yeah, they did just call it Quark's Bar. Yes.
Yeah, I ate there once, and it was really expensive, and it just tasted like regular food. But I
went
there.
Just regular food. Yeah.
Did you get it's not
7 rings of Beta Z, which is basically just onion rings.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be real with you, when I'm trying to look at what to eat, and I'm looking at Star Trek, terms as food, I just kind of go back into the episodes, and my dad's like, "Can we order?" I'm like, "But I remember an episode where they said this word." Yeah.
But yeah, I was mad when they got rid of it, and I'm still sad about it. It still annoys me that they got rid of the Star Trek Experience. It must have been really expensive to run or something.
I am shattered. When they got rid of the Star Wars hotel in Disney World, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
Star Trek
cared.
Experience. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Back in the 80s, early 90s, or sometime around there, Universal Studios had a Star Trek thing that you participated in with a large group, and you acted certain scenes out, and they had cut scenes from like regular Star Trek stuff. And you're like on a planet, you get these aliens, like Neutron, a Bloom Blue Jaw, and stuff like that. The Klingons are speaking, it's awesome, funny stuff. I mean, every video like that's the same because that's the format of it. But you have to do it. I don't think they have that anymore. Pretty sure they don't. So that was awesome. I'm like, I didn't even know about that 2 years later, and I went. One
of our funniest experiences there. I was there with some guys we worked with because we were in Vegas on a convention, and we went in there, and this guy, like a full Klingon getup, comes up to it, and he's like starts like messing with us. Like, you call yourselves warriors, and we thought he was actually part of the place. He wasn't an employee. He was just some guy who showed up dressed as a Klingon. But it was the coolest thing. I go, well, this Klingon is messing with us. Yeah, he doesn't work here. It's still cool.
Wow.
Klingon's messing with us.
I went to some of that stuff like that, but it's all been 25 or 30 years ago. I guess it's kind of irrelevant now. Everything.
This is a solid 20 years ago. I'm talking about now.
Last time I went, I took kids in 98 or 99 or something, and oh God, nightmares.
I used to love going to the premiere nights of every Star Trek movie because there'd be so many people dressed up as Klingons or Ferengi or whatever.
Oh,
yeah, so much fun. And there were people who put a lot of work into it. Like they look like movie quality. Like,
dude, I got hired by the Temecula Edwards Theater to when the Star Trek Nemesis premiered to stand there and direct people to theaters and answer questions. Yeah.
After the Star Wars nightmare in '77, after the big Star Wars nightmare of long lines around the block and waiting 14 hours to see a movie and all this stuff, I made it a point to always wait if a movie opened on Thursday or Friday. I'd wait till Sunday afternoon to go see it. I'd always wait till after the big rush was over and the crowds were kind of weaker. I didn't like them standing in lines and all that stuff. It was too annoying, especially if you had to go to the bathroom.
Yes, I was waiting in line for when they did the Star Wars special editions. I waited in line for tickets with my brother, and my brother actually met the woman that would become his wife in line for Star Wars tickets. And it's actually very fitting because they're both very, very geeky about Star Wars.
That's geek love, man. It's beautiful.
Star Wars. Well, it'd be even better if they were standing in line dressed like Han and Leia.
That would have been funny, yes. But no. They were just geeks and fellow travelers. Just met each other in line, and we had nothing else to do, so we started talking, and sure enough, they didn't even realize it. that they were basically flirting with each other because they're such geeks. Like they didn't even realize that they were flirting with each other. And I'm sitting there going like, would you guys just go get a room? I'll stand in line
married.
for you.
It is to laugh.
Well, yeah, it's like when I went to Paramount Pictures to protest the cancellation of Enterprise, right? When I got there, you know, Darth Vader was there saying, "Don't cancel Star Trek." See, like, yeah.
Well, that was nice of him.
Likes Star Trek. It was great. I met Martok there, and you know Jeffrey Combs, so that was good stuff. Yes, this hand shook Jeffrey Combs' hand, like,
Yeah, I can say something, but
I'm actually a Jeffrey Combs. Like, I don't know if you know that.
Well, yeah, from his Lovecraft days.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
guessing,
yes.
from back
Reanimator.
then,
the first time
He also did one called The Attic Expedition, which isn't very good, but it's loosely based on Lovecraft.
He's done a few of them, especially with Stuart Gordon, the guy who did Reanimator. What was the other one? There's like From Beyond and Dagon, I think. Yeah.
Dagon, that was the one that was actually filmed in Spain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's probably the best adaptation of Lovecraft out there. I don't know why people have so much trouble.
That's the closest to actual Lovecraft. Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if it's because it's so cerebral or they just want to phone it in because it's cheaper that way. But literally, it's so tough to find authentic. I mean, usually get stuff like Die Monster Die, which is, are you kidding? Is it the best you could do? I really want to see a faithful adaptation of Lovecraft. Oh, by the way, I've only brought this up about 15 times. So, panel, I apologize. But to you people in the chat who haven't heard this, YouTube has a series now, and they're stories of Lovecraft, but they're done as Dr. Seuss stories. They're in rhyme. They're so approachable, and the artwork is all like something you'd see in Dr. Seuss. They are so much fun. I know it sounds wacky, but try one. Check these out. I have had so much fun watching these.
I second that.
Yeah.
Because after he mentioned it last time, whether it was last week or the week before, I went down that rabbit hole. I watched like 4 or 5 of them, and they are fantastic. I love them.
Somebody send me a link, please.
Yeah.
Must check.
They haven't done the color art of space yet, which burns my tail because it's my favorite story by Lovecraft, but maybe someday.
I'm a simple man. I love At the Mountains of Madness. That's my favorite.
Who doesn't love At the Mountains of Madness? That's the go-to. That's the,
That's what I mean. I'm the simple man. I like the one that's the most popular. What can I say?
Mercy.
So anyway, actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's what we were talking about.
We're live?
Yes.
I think it is your turn, Sarah. So
okay, so Jeffrey Combs. Let's just keep talking.
Jeffrey Combs. Let's just keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Jeffrey Combs.
And if I'm wrong, he was in that movie with Michael J. Fox, right? The one with the ghost.
The Frighteners?
Frighteners.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the Frighteners. Yeah.
The first one with the crazy tattoos and torture and whatever.
Yeah.
The first movie,
I like that movie. I like his performance in that movie.
I haven't seen it in forever, but yeah.
I saw that movie just thinking it was a regular horror movie, and I didn't realize it was a horror comedy, and it's actually really funny. It almost works better as a comedy than a horror movie.
It does. I agree. Like you, I went in expecting it to be a horror movie because that's how it was advertised. It wasn't really advertised as a comedy, and like I was very confused halfway through the movie. I'm like, is this a horror movie? Because there's nothing really scary going on. This is a comedy. And once I realized it was a comedy, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Awesome.
And Jake Busey is in it, and he's really good in it.
One of his first starring roles, I believe.
Yeah, he was in that, and the same year he was in Contact as the crazy saboteur. Yeah.
That was the same year?
Same year, I think. Indy will have to double check me. I'm not entirely sure.
It was around the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first movie I ever saw Jeffrey Combs in was The Man with Two Brains, right? And he was just supposed to shave the head, but he shaved something else instead. And it was very memorable, right? So I'm like, made a note of that as a kid, right? I'm like, ha, funny man here, right? I like this dude. And then when I finally saw The Reanimator, I was like, I love this. Also really gross, but I love this.
You kidding me? I'm still shocked she saw The Reanimator.
I own it. I've seen them all.
And this is the chick that really hates horror movies. Most of the time, oh no, I wouldn't watch that. But she watched that one.
Well, see,
Of
movies
all
like
of them.
right. So, Cannibal Holocaust it just cured me of things. Okay, I'm cured. So I'm not really a big fan of any of that stuff. But you know, Jeffrey Combs, I'm going to take a chance on anything he does. I mean, every short character he replays is awesome. You know,
There's Indy's fact checks, Thrash.
I knew they were close. I know they're the same year. So, but thank you, Indy. Oh, and by the way, yeah, I love Dunwich Horror, but that had more to do with Dean Stockwell was absolutely amazing. So even though Dunwich Horror is about as accurate as an episode of Hogan's Heroes, Dean Stockwell made the movie worth watching. Oh, and it has to be read on the record. Speaking of hotties, Barbara Crampton, Reanimator, thunk. I've had a crush on her for 40 years because of Reanimator.
I'm gonna say hi to Kay Moonin. Hello.
Hi, Kay.
Good to see you
also,
again.
Hi Entertainment.
Yes, the entertainment headquarters also here.
Kevin, good to see you, man.
The Stoned Age. I don't even
Yeah,
know
so
that
yeah,
one.
I just love Jeffrey Combs. Everything I see him in is just awesome. Even if the movie itself was like maybe could be dumb or something, but Jeffrey Combs is awesome. So
Yeah, kind of
Jeffrey
like
Combs.
Vincent Price. He always gives 110%. He's always like,
Oh yeah,
I don't want to say hamming it up because that makes it sound like he's not doing well, but he is kind of like overacting a little bit, just enough to make it really fun. And
a lot of actors overacted. It doesn't turn out well. We've seen it, but if you can overact just right, like him,
he
then it
chews
works
the
out.
scenery, is what they say in the biz. Yeah.
Well, the example I like to give is Star Wars. Like, take Sir Alec Guinness. You could tell he was bored out of his mind when he was making that movie. You could tell it was a cash grab for him. Whereas Peter Cushing, you'd think he was up for an Academy Award, and that was the difference. Two amazing actors, both knighted, I believe. But one, you could tell this movie is beneath me. But Peter Cushing, can you give this based on not a target? A military target to name the system. And it's like, you know, he just, and every movie Peter Cushing did, he was like that. So it's the authenticity, I think, is the word that I'm groping for. But yeah, definitely with Jeff Combs as well.
And
I
Indy,
totally agree with
I
you,
did
man.
want to highlight this comment from Indy because in my head I was like, do I mention Contact or do I mention PCU? Which one should I mention? And I mentioned Contact. But yes, I know he was in PCU. That's gutter, man. Just a little banger to brighten up your day. Great movie. Highly ahead of its time too.
There's a channel on YouTube now where it's all the times Rod Serling was right, and not just right, but like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like you watch the quote and it's like, how could he have possibly known? And that's why he suffered from debilitating nostalgia. Because
Right.
it's like the song by Leonard Cohen, I've seen the future, baby. And it's
And
murder.
it is murder. Yeah.
I have a
Great
lot
song.
of drones here today, man. I've seen like 5 drones fly by, or the same one flying in circles.
It's just watching you, man. That's all it is. Not a big deal.
I know, man. That's what the way I feel about it.
it's really
I
a
waved
bird.
at
Not a
him earlier. I
drone.
was like, "Hey, you're so close."
And the poor little dog was drone.
Oh yeah, Wishmaster.
If the drone got, when the drone floated down here a while ago, if it got any closer, you could see the screen.
Yeah, I don't want them to see me talking to you. Don't let them see the screen.
Believe that.
Yeah. They're after me, you know, for all the things. All the things.
Yeah, one day, my flock just isn't going to be here. We're going to be like, Sarah? Never heard of a Sarah? I don't know Sarah. You can't prove I know a Sarah.
Right.
You can't prove that there's a Sarah in this world.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Don't be surprised if one day somebody gives you 2 mules.
But I'm
What?
Shirley
Okay.
MacLaine was in that, wasn't
No.
she?
Okay.
Trash, you might be the only one that got that joke. So.
Yeah, 2 mules. It's 2
the
mules for
universe.
Sister Sarah, the old Clint Eastwood movie, which I'll put a pin in that.
One bit of
I am-
trivia I'm surprised Indy didn't bring up is that Jeffrey Combs was actually in the 1991 version of The Pit and the Pendulum.
I did not know that.
There you go.
I didn't either.
Did I even see
I
that?
only knew that because I just Googled it. So
Smart ass.
I've never even seen it either. I didn't even know it existed until just now.
Well, I wrote a song about birds are drones, or birds aren't real because they're drones, and they all come from the Blue Horse Airport, and it's all Bigfoot's fault. So there you go. Great song. Check it out.
Indy, that image is going to haunt me.
Mm.
Yeah. I can't unsee that now. You.
Yes, Witchfinder General. That's another good one. Yeah.
Oh, very amazing. And that's actually based on an actual person.
Is it really?
Yeah, I found that out when I was doing something on The Burning Time, and I found out he's actually based on a real person.
Like what Indy said.
Why are you here for that? You weren't here to do my homework. You're my Google, man.
You're our AM.
No, he's not. I don't need that. Okay,
So
so
wrote it on every angstrom. It would not equal 1/1 billionth of the hate I feel for you at this moment.
It's your turn, Thrash.
Oh, it's me? Oh, I thought you were like doing hit the keyboard or that's how I type. Okay. Anyway, speaking of Two Mules for Sister Sarah with Shirley MacLaine, it also starred the person I'm going to open with, and that is the iconic, still working to this day, even though he's almost 100, Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
Clint Eastwood is just an absolutely outstanding actor from whatever he does. I love him most. I'm not gonna lie. I love him most from his spaghetti westerns, the one he did in Italy when he was trying to revitalize his career. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who haven't pieced this together, The Man with No Name saga is a trilogy. You just have to think of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly as a prequel,
right?
And then everything lines up fine
if you do it that way.
But it's like my go-to is in The Good, Bad, the Ugly. The main plot point is the quest for this last chance gold that the Confederates lost while they were trying to hide. But the first third of the movie is really just the pissing contest we got going on between Clint Eastwood and Eli Wallach. And that is so riveting. You almost don't notice that plot isn't kicking in because you're so enthralled with the action between the two of them. Yeah, Lee Van Cleef, who I also love, by the way, he's there to like keep reminding us. But again, anyone who can actually keep an interest, usually when like a movie diverts, you start to lose interest. Never with Clint Eastwood. Anytime he's on screen, you're just like, his presence alone is enough to carry a movie. Now, he's done one or two things which I'm not enthralled with. That movie where he played a presidential bodyguard and I fell asleep during it. And I apologize. It may have been because I was working double shifts at the time, but the movie did not grab me. But then again, he's always outstanding. Is it an awesome movie?
My mom loves it. I think it's fine. It's a movie. Like, I don't love it or hate it. It's just kind of there. Maybe
I'll try it again. But yeah, I saw it in the theaters and I fell asleep. And I was with this big group and they just let me snore through it. It was actually very funny. But again, Clint Eastwood, I love him. And even as a director, and can anyone name his directorial debut? Indy, give him a second.
God, not off the top of my head.
People always go, "Oh wow!" when you tell them this.
I don't remember.
Anyone?
Okay.
Play Misty for me.
Play Misty for me.
I should have guessed
Misty
that.
for me.
I always bring up the Clint Eastwood movie nobody talks about, and that's City Heat.
Oh.
With Burt Reynolds, and it's one of my favorites because they compare the sizes of their guns.
That movie, I haven't seen it, I think, since I was in high school. That movie, it must have looked great on paper. It's like all the pieces were there, but I think in the end they couldn't decide if they just couldn't just bring it all together. There's even a scene where they make fun of the walk down the thoroughfare scene from The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, where Clint is going down shooting people, but in this case, Burt is just sort of like, lampooning him while he does it. It's sort of a comedic version of it just. I can see how they thought it would work, but it didn't. I mean, you have two icons. You have Burt Reynolds, who again chews the scenery. He's great, and you have Clint Eastwood, but it didn't work. And anyone?
I liked it. I thought it was funny.
It bombed at the box office. In fact, I don't think they ever worked again together.
I've noticed that most of the movies I like the best bombed at the box office.
A lot of mine have too.
Yeah, I mean, like on my channel, I cover all these sci-fi classics, movies we think of as sci-fi classics, like giants of the genre, and they all bombed at the box office.
Yeah.
Like so many of them bombed at the box office.
Right. But just because the movie's terrible doesn't mean we can't like it.
And then you got
And just because it bombed on the box office doesn't mean it's terrible either.
Right, well, you got some movies that were major box office draws. I mean, just phenomenal amounts of money, and nobody remembers nothing about them.
Oh yeah,
that existed.
But particularly from like the 70s. I mean, like, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot that movie. Oh my god, that movie was great. I forgot it. Yeah, that happened a lot. Because when people think 70s, they think Star Wars, or Jaws, and they don't think Nickelodeon.
I never think Nickelodeon. Are you talking about the children's stuff?
I'm talking about the movie, not the kids' channel.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry.
It.
I'm a kid. Sorry, I forgot. My bad.
It's okay. As soon as I said it, I go, I hope people know what I'm talking about.
I didn't.
I thought you meant the old, like, little Nickelodeon machines where you do the flippity.
It's a movie from the 70s, which is about the behind-the-scenes shenanigans that went on in cinema. Yeah, in the early days.
Because a lot of people, when they want to trace the origins of cinema, a lot of people talk about Nickelodeons or the camera obscura and the whatever that thing is called that goes around and you see the horse doing its thing. And yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to know what those things are called too. I took TV video in high school. I got an A. Who knew?
Yeah.
I remember
Magic
Nickelodeon
Lamp.
because my kids watched some of it. I remember green crap falling out of the sky on somebody, but the rest of it's all a blur.
Oh, you're talking about Nickelodeon, the TV.
Oh, yes.
I don't know, and Alanis Morissette gets slimed. Yeah.
Why do you kids watch this crap?
Because slime.
It was fun. I actually went to Nickelodeon Studios because it was in Orlando, and yeah, I got slimed. I've been slimed. It's basically really sweet because it is edible. Like it's meant to be food grade so that it's safe.
Gross.
It's basically just.
I somewhere and somebody dumps a bunch of slime on me. I got a feeling the police is going to be involved later on. Just saying.
Tom Cruise had a guy arrested for a squirt gun.
That's true. Why would you do that? Why did you do that? Why would you do that? Got really aggressive about it, man. I mean, yeah, you shouldn't shoot people with water guns on the red carpet, but calm down, Tom.
Well, my brother and his friends went out and shot people with water guns driving around.
Yeah, I mean, if there was like LSD in it or something, I could understand. Okay, yeah, that's wrong, but
Nair hair removal.
It seems
would
like
you notice that on Tom Cruise? Really?
Somebody peeing in a water gun and shooting a wrestler with it one time.
Ew.
Gross.
Gross.
Yeah, ew.
In the day.
You.
Sounds like something a 5-year-old would do,
Hey.
Well, maybe a 14.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I offend you, 5-year-old Sarah?
Yes. I would never. I would have done it at 4.
Brouhaha. What did you smoke your lunch, Sarah?
No, not me.
She would never.
Never.
Okay, so Danny, do you have an actor or an actress you'd like to talk about?
Several of them, but I might have to narrow it down because of time limitations.
Yes, and we're not exactly going efficiently today.
I'm not going to talk about him now because me and Thrash are going to talk about him to extent later.
Right.
But I will bring up Gene Hackman. He did pass away. Very sorry to hear that. And I am overwhelmed with Gene Hackman right now because I thought, I'm a movie guy. I know Gene Hackman movies, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that he made so many movies that I was unaware of. It blows my mind. And out of all the movies he made, I've probably seen 25, maybe 30 of them. And I thought, yeah, that's a good number. I know Gene Hackman movies, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know nothing because Gene Hackman made hundreds of movies. So many movies. I got a list this long of movies I've heard of, did not know he was in, but never seen because I just saw the trailer and it looked like crap. Apparently, Gene Hackman made a lot of crap.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we'll talk about that later.
He was one of those actors. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying he's one of those actors like Christopher Lee who was just a worker. He was a workhorse. Where he would act in basically anything, good, bad, whatever came his way that like his agent gave the green light to, he would take it. He was that kind of actor. He doesn't have the list as long as Christopher Lee. I think, not counting adult films, Christopher Lee has the longest resume of any actor. But Gene Hackman's very close. But
the actor I'm going to talk about, of course, is Jack Nicholson.
Dun dun dun.
Because Jack Nicholson, and we talked about yesterday, actors being really good in roles, and I was thinking about Jack Nicholson and The Joker. He started out Little Shop of Horrors. He's Wolf. He's made so many good movies over so many years. I can go all the way back to One Jumped Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something.
One flew over the cuckoo's
Flew over the Cuckoo's Nest. Old movies.
Stretch it.
Jack Nicholson has been around forever and is truly the classic actor who has made more classic movies than most people. I thought Pons froze for a minute there.
Nope, he's still moving. He's made it past the 45-minute mark. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, he got his start with Roger Corman. He was one of the Roger Corman players. That's where Jack Nicholson got his start. And yeah, Little Shop of Horrors. I don't know if that was his very first role, but it was very early in his career. The original Little Shop of Horrors.
Now, I don't know if that's his first role or not, but that was the first thing I think I ever saw him in.
Yeah,
I think it was his first film role. I think he had done some TV before that.
Probably, yeah.
And then of course he did the Terror, which is a nonsensical but very well done movie. That when you consider it was made in 2 days, you
pre-built
gotta
sets.
Give it yeah. And Nicholson, of course, is great in it. Now, I'm racking my brains. You mentioned Cuckoo's Nest. I believe that was his first really, really, really big film. He had done like 5 Easy Pieces and stuff before that, but I believe it was Cuckoo's Nest that really put him on the map.
Yeah, I think you are correct.
There was before Cuckoo's Nest and after it. And one other thing I gotta mention for you Corman and Monkees fans out there, he of course was producer and even has a walk-on scene in Head, the Monkees film debut and swan song.
And we put that in there just for snarky.
The Monkees.
What, is she a fan of the Monkees?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to get like beat up or something, say something mean about the Monkees, okay? But if you want to be like just happy, then say all the nice things because Snarky, he knows the Monkees inside and out.
In the future, if we ever do something about the Monkees movies and TV shows, we'll make sure we have Snarky on there with us.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we've talked about the Monkees so long that now I have to actually read this factoid. It's one of my favorite go-tos with the Monkees. There was a scene from the Monkees TV show where it's a haunted house gimmick, and of course the evil in the house is taking them one by one, and Mickey has a scene where he goes, "Oh my God, they got Davy. Now we're a trio. Then they got Peter. Now we're a duo. And Mike, if they get you, I'll be a solo. Here I come, walking down the street. I get the funniest." And he does the whole song as a single person instead of a group. And the thing that really messes with my mentals on that is Mickey Dolenz is the last surviving member of the Monkees. And the order he presented them in that little spiel, is the order in which they died.
Oh, jeez.
What?
And that was in 1968. That was in 1968.
Well, thank you, Pons. Now I got little goosebumpies all over me and stuff.
It's probably eczema.
Go away. It's already cold enough out here.
You want to talk cold? It's 34 degrees here on Cape Cod right now. And it's the middle of March.
Degrees here today, but we got 2 days. Today and tomorrow it's going to be chilly. But after that,
Ooh.
we're gonna be in the 70s and almost 80s for the next 8 or 9 days. It's gonna be like summertime. I'm gonna be wearing shorts, walking around in the grass, walking the dog, watching flowers grow.
And I forgot. Chinatown did actually predate.
It does predate One Flew Over the
Yeah,
Cuckoo's Nest.
I mean,
He's
I
right.
remembered it, but for some reason, I had forgotten that it was first.
It's hard because in my brain, like a lot of the movies that he did that he's like famous for, like the actual like the setting of the movie is further in the past. So like I think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in my brain, it's like it's a 1950s movie because it's set in the 1950s. Of course it's not a 1950s movie. What am I thinking? It's just one of those things.
And Chinatown was the 1930s.
That's true.
She's
yeah.
my sister. She's my daughter. She's my sister. She's
my sister and my daughter.
Okay.
Well, I should have said spoiler alert before we started that. I really should have said spoiler alert.
The movie's old enough. I think it's okay.
Yeah. It's 50 years old. If you haven't seen Chinatown, that's on you.
But as much as I enjoy Jack Nicholson, you know, and I did love The Shining. I have to think that to me that his best movie role was when he portrayed the Joker in the Batman movie. To me, that was the most ultimate portrayal of the Joker that ever existed.
It is. It is. With apologies to Cesar Romero. And the crazy story about that is supposedly when they were making the later film with Australian. Thank you. With Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson warned me, goes, you know, you gotta be careful with this role. It'll really get into your head. So be careful. And Heath Ledger kind of brushed him off and oh well.
Oh. We see how that worked out.
Ledger's family is very firm in trying to squash that idea that the Joker like got into his head. They take it very personally. Just saying. I just want to make that as a disclaimer. I believe it, but like I know they
like that boy needed more demons crawling up in his head.
Yeah, he had enough demons. Yeah, he was pretty messed up.
And I think that's what like that they were trying to say. I mean, we all know how. I'm not going to talk about it. We all know how we lost him. So whether or not the Joker had anything to do with it.
I mean, it didn't help for sure.
It wasn't cathartic.
He was a method actor, so like you know he did get into the role, so it probably did get it. But anyway, yeah, let's not get into it. But Jack Nicholson as the Joker, like Jack Nicholson's more of like the comic book, like kind of more campy version of the Joker, and I think he does it so well. When I think of the Joker, I don't think of Heath Ledger. I think of Jack Nicholson.
You see, well, really, you think about the old guy who played the Joker in the Batman original series.
Yeah, Cesar Romero. Yeah,
you think of Cesar Romero and his portrayal of the Joker, and you just think that Jack Nicholson adapted that portrayal and made it more serious, but he still stuck to the camp Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what
I think you are correct. He's a perfect balance between those two worlds. Whereas Heath Ledger's a little too realistic. Like I think Heath Ledger's performance is amazing, but when he's so serious. Why so serious? But yeah.
No, his portrayal of Joker was too dark because he lost the I'm crazy, comical crazy aspect of the Joker.
It's sort of like when
comical craziness.
When Johnny Depp played Sweeney Todd, I thought he didn't do a particularly good job because the whole thing about Sweeney Todd is that he's insane and kind of like that type of insane. Johnny Depp just played him as this angry, bitter, betrayed, which he was all of those things, but there was no comic edge to him. And I thought that made the movie suffer.
Look, if
what
you
made
had
the movie horrible was the old lady feeding people, making pies out of people. Oh, God.
Oh, it's not a nice story. But I'm just like, when you watch the stage play, Sweeney Todd is an actual very funny character in this very sick, dark comedy kind of way. And Johnny Depp did not portray it like that. And it was his choice, but I thought the role suffered as a result.
But with all due respect to Jack Nicholson, the best Joker is actually Mark Hamill. So,
you know, that's true. Actually, he is
from the cartoon.
Yeah, he does the voice of Mark Hamill in the cartoon, the video games. He does it a lot.
Yeah, I did
his
like
vocal work is amazing.
It's great. It's fantastic. I mean, yeah, when I found out that he was, I was like, oh, well, that explains it then. Why it's okay, got it. Okay, but then you see things like, you know what? I don't want to make fun of Star Wars, but you saw it, right? Like Luke Skywalker and that. It's awful. Anyways,
And yes, Nate says it very well. What I was trying to say, they both fit the movies that they're in. You know, you can't put Jack Nicholson in the Christopher Nolan Batman, and you can't put Heath Ledger in Tim Burton Batman. It just wouldn't work either way.
And you can't put any of them in the original Batman with Adam West because it just wouldn't work. It'd just be one big.
Sarah, you are diabolical.
I am. Wow. I mean,
Well, the thing that you have to bear in mind is that both the Joker and the Batman are insane. They're both woo, and they're fighting this weird delusional pissing contest between the two of them. So, and again, a lot of Batmen don't play it that way either. That's why I wasn't particularly crazy about the man who was actually crazy, the man who threatened to kill the stagehand, Christian Bale. I was not crazy about his Batman. He was playing it too straight. You know, anyone?
No, I mean, I think Christian Bale as Batman he's just kind of there. I didn't hate him. I didn't love him. He's a serviceable Batman. He's way better than Val Kilmer or George Clooney, obviously. But he's not as good as Michael Keaton. And as much as a lot of people don't like me saying it, he's definitely not as good as Robert Pattinson either. I think he's a really good Batman. I think Robert Pattinson's a great Batman, but he hasn't really gotten into Bruce Wayne yet. Whereas I do think that's where Christian Bale shines. He's a better Bruce Wayne. He is that like rich playboy who seems kind of like a psychopath. So
anybody see The Big Bang Theory where they actually get Adam West to do a birthday party? And in the car, he's actually ranking what he thinks the best Batmans were. Guess who number one was?
You know what I found out the other day? I'm actually related to Adam West, so I posted in my community post. And
cool.
My mom used to sell him stamps back in the 70s. I met him in person, and he remembered my mom. It was awesome. Adam West, his family.
I always say that of all the Batman things that ever happened, when I heard Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, a lot of people.
No, not this guy.
But he was great.
After I saw his performance, I was totally changed over. He probably was the best Batman that there was in movies.
The thing I like about Michael Keaton is that he was both a good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman.
Hi, Gary.
I think of all the actors who've played Batman, not counting Adam West, I think he's the one who actually is both characters.
You know what I always thought was pretty fun? You know how like in Happy Days, you know, Pawns jumped the shark, right? Well, I mean, Batman sort of did the same thing in the movie, except for the shark just bit his leg and just some shark repellent, and his leg was still there. It was crazy.
I always said that Happy Days, shark, Batman sprayed the shark.
Yeah, exactly. Now, take it from somebody who's maced themselves. I'm assuming that it's going to be much like that shark repellent. So I feel for the shark, and no wonder he exploded. I would too.
Now, tell us a story about how you maced yourself. That sounds fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyways. Okay.
Yeah, I want to see it on video.
Oh, there was no camera phones back in the day because I would have recorded it. Yeah. And I would have posted it everywhere and said, don't do this. Anyways, yeah. Well, that'll be a Thursday topic again, I guess.
Michael Keaton is funny in Night Shift. You are correct, Tracy.
He is amazing. And Henry Winkler was in that as well. Speaking of the Fonz.
There's also like that Michael Keaton movie Multiplicity where he gets cloned.
And each clone becomes more and more retarded. That's great.
I love it. He's like licking the pizza and going, okay, Steve, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was great in Mr. Mom, and that movie sort of like just did not make a splash. But I saw it in the theaters, and I remember thinking this is a great movie.
I remember watching it one time, and I remember going, this is a neat movie, and then I totally forgot about this. Somebody was mentioning it to me about that movie, and I was like, that's not real, and I don't even know anything about it. Then I went and looked it up. I'm like, oh, I'm retarded. Okay, it is real, and also I did see it.
Because we really want to see Batman babysitting.
What?
Mr. Mom, we really want to see Batman babysitting.
That was a movie that like it hasn't aged very well. Not in terms of like
Well,
the
like
setting or the
kindergarten.
plot or anything, but like just the actual filmmaking behind it. Like it's very jarring. Like if you try to watch it today, it definitely feels like somebody was on a lot of cocaine in the 80s in the editing room.
Wow.
A lot of that going around.
It's very disjointed. It is a very. I remember loving it as a kid because I was a kid. I didn't know any better. But then I watched it just a couple of years ago. I'm like, this movie is very all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mike Silva.
Hello.
Like, dude.
So let's try to get back on track here, shall we? I'm gonna mention.
Let's.
I'm gonna mention an actress because we haven't mentioned one yet, and I'm gonna talk about Charlize Theron. She is an amazing actress who can do all. Like she has range. Like there are a lot of actors we talk about, we love them, but they don't really have a ton of range. I think Jack Nicholson and Clint Eastwood are great, fantastic actors, but they all kind of play the same characters. Let's be true here. Whereas Charlize Theron, she molds herself to anybody. Like she can play
Taron, by the way.
Is it Taron? Really? Is that how it's pronounced?
It's that Germanic hard th.
That makes sense.
Like Neanderthal. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm always correcting people when they say Gal Gadot. It's not how it's pronounced. As annoying as it is, it's actually pronounced Gal Gadot.
I called it Goo for a long time because I couldn't ever say her name right. So it was Gal Gadot Goo. Sorry. It's close enough. Every time I said that, people were like, "You mean?" And I was like, "Yeah, that name."
But yeah, Charlize Theron. I remember when I saw her in Monster, the movie about the Florida serial killer. What's her name? Eileen Wuornos, and she's completely transformed. She goes from looking like Charlize Theron to looking like Eileen Wuornos, and Eileen Wuornos was, let's just say, not very good looking.
Wow, I've seen more of him movies than I have Gene Hackman's.
And she embodies that role. Like she becomes Eileen Wuornos, and she does a very good Florida accent, whereas a lot of actors, when they try to do a Florida accent, it's terrible. I'm talking to you, Keanu Reeves. That movie, it surprised me because before that movie, I'd only seen Charlize Theron in like really minor roles. Like I hadn't really seen her in anything major. But when I saw her in Monster, it really blew me away. And then I saw her in a bunch of other stuff after that. I like big Oscar art movies, and then I would see her in things like Aeon Flux, and she's great in all of them, even in terrible movies like Aeon Flux. She's great. And more recently, Mad Max Fury Road. She steals that movie from everybody. You liked her in what? Oh, Mighty Joe Young. She's actually good in that. Yep.
Which I didn't even realize that was her just now, but
she was in The Road,
and
for some people seem to forget it's a small part, mostly in flashback, but she does this like amazing.
Now, and it's surprising. I've seen most of them.
And yeah, I mentioned Keanu Reeves and his Florida accent because she's also in The Devil's Advocate. So
that's right. Yes.
And that's the movie where Keanu Reeves has a really horrible Florida accent. It's not identifiable as an accent.
So there's actually two franchises in which Keanu Reeves fight the devil. Now that I think about it,
that's true. There's that in Constantine. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen Constantine. That's a great movie.
Although in Constantine they don't really fight. They kind of have a truce with each other.
What I think is funny about that movie is he dies and everything at the very end, and then he gets back up because the devil's like, I'm not gonna let you win. Anyways, and then
he does just flick off the devil. I will give him that.
Yeah, he just gets up and he fixes his shirt, it's just he just like this, and all of a sudden it's buttoned and not bloody anymore. I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
I love the line in where he goes, "We've built an entire theme park for you."
Right.
It's like, oh dear, it's going to be a long eternity, isn't it? Can I ask, who played a better devil? I know which one I'm going to say, but who played a better devil? No wrong answer.
George Burns is the best devil. I don't know what you're talking about.
Between Constantine and the Devil's Advocate.
Okay, yeah. It's hard to say because Al Pacino mean, that is hamming it up. He hams it up to 1,000%. And that final speech at the end where he's just yelling at God it's cinema gold, man. It is over the top and ridiculous, but it is one of the best speeches ever.
I think the best
But Peter Stormare,
the best person ever played the devil was Cosby, Bill Cosby. And The Devil and Max Devlin, it's a Disney movie.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
the devil.
I vaguely remember.
I was like, yeah, that's his role in life and there. Amazing.
It's funny. Last week we were talking about actors who played God. Now we're talking about actors who played the devil.
Yeah.
And George Burns could count for both because
Exactly. George Burns qualifies in both. Oh God, you devil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Which is a better movie than most of the ones made in the last 10 years.
I love
True.
Oh God and Oh God, You Devil. Those are great
Yes.
movies.
They're a lot better than most of the movies made in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down. Mm-hmm.
And who knew John Denver could act?
Not John
very well.
Denver, that's for sure.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Who knew John Denver would be in movies in a starring role?
Oh, yeah, that's funnier.
You know, he sued Monty Python.
Really?
I can't do the bit right now because it's a little off color, but they asked if they could use one of his songs in a routine, and he agreed without getting all the information. And they used Annie's song, and they changed the words into a particularly obscene fashion. And when he heard it, he hit the ceiling. And he goes, "No, I've changed my mind." And they go, "Too late. The album's already out." And he tried suing them. He lost because he'd already given permission. But it got really ugly for a while.
But after giving it some thought, Thrash, I'm going to say Peter Stormare is the better devil. He scares me a lot more than Al Pacino. Al Pacino's just silly.
Again, no wrong answer, so I will give it to you.
But I'm still right.
And yeah, Peter Cook and Elizabeth Hurley in the two versions of Bedazzled. They're also great. Like as the devil. The remake of Bedazzled's not very good, but Elizabeth Hurley is good in it.
And of course, who could forget Mr. Frost? You guys haven't seen Mr. Frost?
No.
Oh my gosh! You have to go out and see Mr. I can't tell you anything about it.
Mr. Frost.
But it's a Jeff Goldblum plays somebody in a psych ward who professes to be the devil, and people think that he's just an insane person. But let's just say, by the end of the movie, you're pretty convinced he, in fact, was the devil. You check it out; it was a sleeper hit, but it was amazing. Yeah,
I'm looking at the cover. It definitely looks like something I've seen before at like the video rental store. So yeah,
great
but
film.
I never watched it.
Oh, it's outstanding.
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen. He was a pretty good devil. I remember that.
Oh,
I hate it when somebody brings up a movie I hadn't seen or heard of.
What?
I said I really hate it when somebody brings up a movie that I should know but don't. Because I would think anything Jeff Goldblum was in, I probably would know about.
Jeff Goldblum has been in a lot.
I was about to say he's been in a lot of those bargain bin movies that just kind of nobody has ever seen.
I'll look somebody up when we're doing something about them and find out they were in certain things I didn't know they were in, or movies I never
not
saw.
Here, man.
Like,
I cursed.
Where was I?
Saved by Zero. Which I still can't figure out why Coke Zero didn't use that as its theme song.
They didn't want to pay the rights, probably.
How much could it have possibly cost them?
Especially for Coca-Cola, come on.
and Diet Coke to boot. Ew.
Yeah, Diet Pepsi's way better than Diet Coke. But I like Coke better than Pepsi, which is weird.
Yeah, I like Coke better than Pepsi too.
I can't drink either regular Coke or regular Pepsi because, diabetes.
I can only drink either Pepsi or Coke Zero.
Coke Zero is pretty good.
I like a regular Coke Classic.
I used to love Coke Classic, but it's been a long time.
I like Baja Blast, but it's my current favorite.
And I will say I actually loved Crystal Pepsi, and I don't care what anybody else says. I thought
Crystal Pepsi's good stuff. I had some when they re-released it. I was like, awesome! It tastes just like Pepsi, just clear.
But also, it was the 90s, and I had no taste, so there's that.
Hey, I used to like Blue Pepsi, which is just Pepsi Blue, right? That's it. And it was better somehow because blue. Okay.
And what was that like? That clear beer-like substance. What was it? Zima? I remember
Ugh.
that.
It tasted like cough syrup.
I'm not saying Zima was good. Zima was not good.
I remember as a kid, I used to go, when I grew up, I'm going to have Zima. I grew up and I was like, hey, does it still make Zima? They was like, what's that? And no.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
I remember
That was a fever dream.
up until a couple of years ago, Corona was real popular, but now nobody wants a case of Corona.
Something happened in like 2020. I don't know what that
It
was.
was the weirdest thing.
I never really loved Corona. Like a lot of people in my friend group would drink it, and it tasted so watered down to me. It was like, this is just watered down Dos Equis, like that. I didn't like it.
But you've had Bud Light, right? It's not any
They
better.
used to serve it in the Club Meds because it was cheap. The Americans thought it was this wanky foreign beer, so they started demanding it and be like, okay, we'll export it for you. But if you want to do a great Mexican beer, Modelo.
Yeah, Modelo's good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, 'cause it's actually brewed by a German family.
And also, if you like Canadian beer, if you like things like Labatt or Molson, go to Canada and drink it there. It tastes so much better there because they literally do have to water it down for America. But no, like I think a lot of kids liked Corona, especially like teenagers and 20-somethings, just because of the stupid lime. It was just the gimmick of like popping the lime in there.
And you know what that lime was for? It was to keep the flies from flying into the bottle.
No,
There was no real like flavor enhancement. It was just this chic way of saying we're next to a swamp.
But
Or an estuary, if you will.
Estuary,
An estuary is really just a salt swamp.
Apparently, Tom McCluskey liked Zima, so that's fine.
It's a free country.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
I'm not particularly fond of beer. I'm more of a liquor drinker or vodka or bourbon.
I like cider more than I like beer. Like, give me a good.
Beer's kind of a waste of time. I had drank 20 of them things to fill it.
They still make wine coolers. You have to kind of dig for them, and there's not a huge variety.
Wine
This
coolers
is fresh like
girls,
wine coolers.
Wine coolers is for girls. Usually about 20.
Yeah, I grew up I came of age in the 90s. For me it was Mad Dog.
Mad Dog 2020 right there.
2020, man. Yeah, hell yeah.
For me, it was vodka Everclear. For me, it was vodka Everclear and 211s. We'll be some Steel Reserve any day. Oh yeah. I beer bonged 240s of 211. Instantly drunk the next day. Missed work. Couldn't drive.
Okay. Speaking of strange alcohols, why did the mad cardiologist use hallucinogenic liqueur when trying to reanimate the cast of Easy Rider?
I don't know.
Because absinthe makes the heart grow fonder.
Jesus Christ, Thrash. Where have you been storing that one?
Whatever it is, put it back there. Put the lock back on it.
Hey, I had to work really hard to come up with that joke.
I would admit
there's
that.
A lot of pieces.
That's amazing, actually. It's one of those like quadruple puns. Good job.
Wow.
On that note, pawns, everyone.
But yeah, nowadays, like, I live basically right across the border from Kentucky, so I just drink a lot of whiskey here. So
No.
Whiskey bourbon.
Yeah, wow. Right across the border from Kentucky.
Yeah, I've been on a couple of bourbon tours in Kentucky. It's fun stuff, man. Not that I remember.
Be careful next time you go to Kentucky. You don't take a wrong turn.
I've heard rumors about those wrong turns out there. Crazy.
I saw movies about wrong turns out there. I think they're based on a true story myself.
So, Sarah, who's your part two?
Oh, right. We were still have a topic, I guess. Okay. Okay. Different Comes was the first one. Okay, yeah. So then the next one I was thinking about was Peter Falk. I love Peter Falk. I love him in everything that he's ever been in. Even if the movie is not that good, he's in it, and I just love it. And I mean, I see a lot of people that are like him on YouTube a lot, and it just makes me, laugh. Like Chance, he's like, I'm going to end my show. Oh wait, I forgot like 50 things. Wait a minute, right? And it's like that. I love Columbo. I always loved it too that you never saw Mrs. Columbo, right? But then later on, Mrs. Columbo had a show which is, Kate Mulgrew, because awesome, and that. But I mean, Columbo. I mean, Peter Falk. He's actually Peter Falk, not Columbo. Whatever. Anyways, so Peter Falk is awesome. Is family favorite. Somebody that I really enjoyed as a kid and still do to this day. And I was always sad when he stopped acting, and then when he died, I think of Alzheimer's or some weird thing like that. But anyways, point being, Peter Falk, everything he's in is just great. He's just great.
He is fantastic.
I can't really name a lot of Peter Falk movies. I remember him reading a story in The Never Ending Story, and I remember this really cool movie.
Never Ending Story is Princess Bride.
Thank you for playing with some lovely parting gifts.
And I remember him in a really cool movie with Cyndi Lauper and Jeff Goldblum called Vibes, where he was with these two psychics. But other than that, I could not name one movie Peter Falk was in. All I remember.
He did a movie with Alan Arkin called The In-Laws, which is one of the funniest movies of all time.
Okay, I seen The In-Laws, but I didn't remember him being in it. It's 30 years ago.
Yeah, I really like Peter Falk. It's just he's awesome.
I've really seen him in movies, but just don't remember him being in them.
Yeah, I can't remember the names of all those movies. I've seen some recently too that I didn't even know he was in, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" And I can't remember what he did in them. But he was there.
Yeah, I can't think of him as anything but Columbo. It's really hard.
Yeah. I liked it when in the when the first run of Columbo, right, when he was all really young and stuff. Like, I finally got to watch all those one time, right?
Oh, this can't be right. Awesome. When did he die?
Oh,
years ago, 90-something.
Yeah, he died a long time ago. Yeah. 2011 apparently.
There we go.
Murder by Death. Of course, he's in Murder by Death.
Oh my God! Yes, he is.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah. So
you're right. He's been in a lot of movies, but I don't remember him being
in 2007.
What was that?
Does anybody remember Peter Falk being in the movie Next in 2007?
I remember the movie. No. I don't remember him in it.
No, I don't remember it. No, take your word for it.
Because that was that weird. What's his name? Nicolas Cage seeing slightly into the future.
Mm-hmm.
He was in this cult war movie called Castle Keep with Burt Lancaster. He plays a deserter, and he actually steals the movie. He gives like one of the best speeches in the entire movie about how when he was young, he was afraid the war would be over before he could even get to it. But now he sees it running into the centuries, and he just can't do it anymore. And it's just this amazing spiel, and like I say, he steals the movie.
Oh my God, he was in a lot of movies.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking through a movie list. I'm like, yeah, I've seen that movie, but I don't rember Peter Falk.
I don't either. That's like right.
Weird.
Here's one. He was in It's a Mad World, and it's hard to remember anyone particularly in that movie because there's like over 50 stars in it. He plays a cab driver who comes in at the end. He and I believe Ted Moreland.
He was in Corky Romano.
Yes, he plays the Godfather.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
He's in a lot of movies with murder in the title. It's kind of funny.
That's crazy. Yeah, they're just like put murder in the title. He'll show up.
Robert Blake, wouldn't he? Oh, too soon.
But yeah, he's in The Great Race. I don't remember.
Yep, he was in The Great Race.
Wow. I may have to go back and watch some Peter Falk movies now.
There was years ago, there was a local radio station up here that would do like these little comedic like sketches, I guess you'd call them. And there's a out in Western Mass, there's a city called Athol.
Yeah.
The city called what now?
Athol. It's actually called Athol. It's out in Western Mass. And it was supposed to be a documentary, and it was Falk in Athol. And he was giving a tour of Athol, but the whole joke being he kept saying it's Falk in Athol, Falk in Athol. And yes, it was. I wish I could remember the entire sketch but that's basically the payoff. Instead, he just and he of course got the voice like yeah. Look at this building here. It probably looks like it's been standing ever since they built it. Falk in Athol.
Fucking crazy.
Mercy. Thank you, Tracy. Oh, do we have time for me to do one?
Yeah, go for it. This is your last one because next week
It is
we're
my
changing
last one.
topics.
I'm surprised I haven't mentioned him already, at least in this format, but I have to go with Christopher Plummer. Any actor who can play Erwin Rommel and Atahualpa is okay in my book. I mean, the amount of range this man had. And he's one of those people where he could play good guy and villain equally. It's funny because most people, when they think of him, they think of The Sound of Music. And I'm
Baron von Trapp. Yeah.
Exactly. But that wasn't even a particularly great role for him. I mean, he was great as a patriarch. But no. What was that movie? The Man Who Would Be King, where he has a small part as Rudyard Kipling.
Right.
But he steals the movie, bookending the movie as Rudyard Kipling. I mean, the man was a national treasure. Night of the Generals, that's the one where he plays Erwin Rommel. Possibly the only World War II themed murder mystery I've ever seen. And again, he plays Erwin Rommel, and he gives this absolutely outstanding speech that actually you'd think it was actually something Erwin Rommel said, and he was just dramatizing it for the movie. The man was he was a national treasure. And again, he was one of those actors that even when he was in movies that were comparatively silly, like the Dragnet movie, which is good, but very, very silly. But he played this campy Batman-style villain, but he was believable at it. And the man was great.
But let's also not forget Somewhere in Time, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mrs. Thrash loves that movie.
And also, of course, Star Trek VI, where he plays a Klingon who quotes Shakespeare all the time. Cry!
Let's slip the dogs of war. And I'm like, yeah.
He's so good.
Talk about movies he stole. He stole that movie.
He stole that movie, totally.
Oh, yeah.
You really haven't experienced Shakespeare until you've experienced its original Klingon.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And as we've talked about on several occasions, he was supposed to be the villain in Moonraker, and I feel gypped. That he was not. Even though I didn't know it at the time.
It was actually James Mason, but yeah.
Oh, there was a movie he was supposed to be in, and the last minute he wasn't. And I'm sorry, I get Moonraker stuck in my head.
Yeah.
But it's a similar story. I'll have to get back to you on which one.
That's sad. Hey, it's sad when you go, Moonraker's a similar story. That's not a great story to begin with.
I wasn't going to bring up Star Crash, Indy, but if you want to talk about Star Crash, you go right ahead.
Yeah, I think if Indy came up on panel, we'd all find out he's really just AI.
Yeah, we wouldn't find out. We'd just be confirmed. We know this.
And you try to be funny with who's Kipling? I mean, I'm guessing there's a joke there, but I can't quite. The subtlety of your humor eludes me. But yes, that was a man called Rudyard Kipling.
Sorry, daylight saving time.
We're all fading fast. We're on the home stretch, Doug. We're on the home
let's
stretch.
move in. Let's rein it in. Dan, you got one last try.
One last try, but I still want 4 minutes at the end, real quick, to show.
That's fine. Yeah.
I guess I've covered most of my favorites. Last time we talked about Shatner and Darren McGavin, and my women's choice of Jamie Lee Curtis. We pretty much covered, and classics like Jack Nicholson. So I guess to complement your earlier choice, I would have to pick Boris Karloff.
Yes.
As
I have a poster of him.
The master of horror.
Woo!
There he is.
Awesome.
And his portrayal of Frankenstein was awesome. He did the best Frankenstein, but it's his other work in horror movies that shines to me. He did so many, I could probably sit here all day talking about his classic works.
Yeah, and even before he did Frankenstein, the noirs where he was playing like the heavy, I can't remember the name of any of them off the top of my head, but he was always great as the heavy. And he was cast that way for the longest time as just like the heavy and crime dramas. And he was great in those movies.
It's funny how the names of these movies escape you when you're on the spur of the moment. But
yeah, you're getting me on the spot.
On the Danny Staten channel, you go to Cool Movies, you'll find 240-something awesome movies, and in there you'll find Boris Karloff and every other movie we probably talked about. That's available on YouTube.
Yeah, Karloff was a national treasure. He really was, even though he's from England. but he's still one of our national.
Once again,
I'm
if you
real
look
national
at that
treasure.
clip on the Red Skelton show of Boris Karloff and Vincent Price singing horror songs, you probably won't get over it no time soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Listen
That
to the
sounds
lyrics
awesome.
real close.
Yeah, and Karloff, like, you know, after Frankenstein, he did a lot of other horror too. He did, you know, The Mummy. He was in Black Cat, a couple of other things, and he's great. Anything with Karloff or Peter Lorre and Vincent Price, you put any of the three of those together, and you've got gold. It's amazing.
Peter Lorre.
Well,
awesome.
then
I love him and like everything.
Yeah.
Then Comedy of Terrors is right up your alley because that actually
It
has
absolutely is. It's one of
three
my
of them.
favorites. Yes, it is.
I don't know if you remember.
I felt that was a lead-in. I felt that was a setup.
Do you remember the anthology series Boris Karloff had called Boris Karloff Presents?
I've seen snippets of it. Yeah.
It'd be a short story, and I think some of the short stories on that show were more terrifying than some of the movies of the time. They really had some scary subject matter.
And also, if you're into like behind the scenes Hollywood stories, I've got this book. I wish I could. Not sure exactly where it is. It's in that bookcase somewhere. That's like a dual biography of both Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi, and like watching the two different ways of approaching their careers splinter. And you know, Boris Karloff successful all the way to the end. Bela Lugosi, not so much. Seeing how like different approaches to your own fame and to your own career, how that can affect what happens to you. I think that is it's a really interesting biography because the two were friends to a point.
I was making
friends and then enemies. They were like frenemies.
If I was doing a Bela Lugosi biography, I would call it the Ed Wood effect.
Yeah, basically.
Well, I'm guessing a lot of and look, I'm frozen.
1 hour 25 minutes.
Wow,
Oh,
missed it by that much. But I'm guessing a lot of it had to do with the fact of the drug usage.
Yeah,
because
Let me just
while Boris
screenshot
wasn't
that.
a teetotaler, he didn't become a heroin addict.
he did get addicted to painkillers though, but that was James Whale's fault. That was yeah, that was his back.
Yes. Oh, by the way, everybody seems to be having a birthday on Tuesday. So happy birthday to Gary and who else was in my chat earlier? I forgot your name already.
Happy
Sorry.
birthday, Gary.
I think somebody else was on a birthday too. So yes, everybody, March birthdays are here. Happy birthday, everybody in March.
Love people born on the 15th. Beware the Ides of March.
Okay, and before I hand over the floor to Danny, I will go ahead and plug. I've got a video on Superman 3 coming out after the stream, and then next week I've got Chance on and probably Thrash and anybody else who wants to come on to talk about Superman 3, specifically about this very short plot outline that Ilya Salkind had that is completely insane, and I want to talk about it. So I'm gonna send a link to Thrash and send a link to Chance. It's only like 3 or 4 pages. It's nothing. It's a fever dream. It's got Mr. Mxyzptlk in it. It's got like Superman falling in love with Supergirl, who in canon is his cousin. That's messed up. I really want to talk about it.
Right?
That'll be the stream next week.
Yeah, we don't need inbreeding in the Superman family. That would be bad.
God only knows what would happen. Weird.
I'm thinking it's going to be like Deliverance or something. No good.
And yeah, Brainiac is the main villain in that version. Yeah. And how, like, even though it's completely insane, it probably would have been better than the Superman 3 we got.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, that's next week. We'll talk about that next week. So, having plugged all that, also be sure to check out Thrash and Danny and Sarah. They have a show tonight. 7 o'clock Eastern.
We're gonna take on Jack.
Or my time.
They're going to talk about Gene Hackman.
We're gonna talk about Gene Hackman tonight, and we're gonna try not to jack around his memory too bad.
And
I can't make promises like that. I'm sorry.
So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand the floor over to Dan because he has final thoughts.
Like, I'm gonna go through this real quick, and everybody knows I get a lot of packages through the mail, and I very rarely shout them out. And unfortunately, I'm slack. But I'm going to do some videos and show some of the cool stuff people sent me. And I'm going to start right now by showing this package. And that's my little address if anybody wants to send a book or something for me to talk about. I'm going to unbox this one and do a video. This is from Corey's Comedy Channel. He sent me a box of really cool Corey's Comedy Channel cards to hand out. I think everybody on YouTube should have little business cards made. If you send them to me, I'll make sure they get put up on bulletin boards all around the state. And whenever I go somewhere, I will hand out a few of your business cards. I'm going to show what else Corey sent me on a video sometime in the upcoming week, probably on the channel if you care. That's not why we're here today. I'm here today to talk about a friend of mine named Savalis. Savalis has been a subscriber of mine for quite a few years. And over the years, Savalis sent me quite a few things. I'm going to show a few things that he sent me. Over the years, he has sent me a collection of really cool UFO and UFO incident books.
Right on.
Hynek, that's what Close Encounters does.
I love it when people send me books. And believe it or not, I do get around to actually reading the books you people send me. And if you hadn't seen videos up about me reading the book or reviewing it or nothing, it's because I'm really far behind. I especially like the flying saucer stuff. The Savalis also sent me a Zachariah stitching collection. This is one of them. There's 4 more of these back there. And
wow.
He must follow me around the live streams because he had saw me on Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and my son had got me volume 1.
Nice.
Rob's True Cryptid Encounters. And Savalis actually sent me book 2 of True Cryptid Encounters by my friend Bigfoot Michigan Rob. He does a live stream here on YouTube. But it's this package I got from Savalis this week that I've been saving. It's this package that I've been dying to pull out of the bag and show people. I was going to do an unboxing on YouTube, but when I found out I was going to be on the show with you, I said, well, let me wait till I get here to show what Savalis sent me. And this guy must really follow me around and must really keep up with the shows I'm on because I received this totally by surprise this week.
Paradox
by Tug.
Hey!
How he knew I was on your show and how he knew I followed you. How he knew I talked about your book. I do not know, but I want to thank Savalis, my subscriber, for out of the blue sending me a copy of Tug's
That's
book.
awesome. That's
I guess he heard
cool.
me talk about I would like to check it out one day on the stream and decided to make my dream come true. Thank you. And it's really good. And I was pretty much trying to read it.
Next show, Dan.
But from what I've seen, it's about time travel, and that's my thing, and I'm really going to enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, it's called Paradox. I think it's pretty clear.
So it's about lemons. Cool. I'm looking forward to reading your lemon recipes.
It's a book that I wrote basically because I was so mad at a lot of different time travel movies and time travel stories that don't have consistent rules. And I'm like, dang it, I'm going to write a time travel story correctly. That's what I did.
Awesome.
That's all I got today.
Very cool, Dan.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, man, for writing this great book that I'm going to get to read. That was provided by a subscriber, which you can't get no better because the best things in life are free.
That's what I say, man. We're all stronger together like this. I mean, how awesome is that?
Okay, so I've put a link to that Superman 3 outline I was talking about in the description and in the chat. I'll send it to Thrash if you're interested, Thrash. And yeah, I'll send it to Chance as well.
Excellent.
Okay, and maybe I'll send it to Damien because next week is his time. So we'll see if he can find 5 minutes to read it.
The raccoons and the possums.
Yeah, exactly. He's a busy guy.
Yeah, I know why.
I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody happy trails.
So yeah.
See you later.
Goodbye. Catch you guys next time.
Thank you and good night.
Ah.